Am I the a-hole for walking out of an event when my fiancé introduced me as a bookkeeper? Plus updates. Original post. I, female 45, have a fiancé, male 55, who is retired military officer. I own a successful company I started 7 years ago and have a small staff of 25. I worked my way through college, paying as I went. Therefore, I graduated in my early 30s with a double major in accounting and business management. I am very proud of that. For a little background, I worked hard for my degrees and have zero debt. I know it took me longer than the typical student going full-time to college from high school. I worked full-time to pay as I took classes. I went to junior college first, then finished at a 4-year. I took 2 classes per semester for a long time, but I finally made it. I have been teased that junior college isn't the same as going 4 years at a major university. Well, I am proud to have done both and feel the education I received at junior college was excellent. I worked as an accountant for some large corporation as well as programming and IT. I started my company doing similar support to large and small companies alike. I have a wonderful staff. I manage the contracts, kickoff meetings, sales, and consulting staff. I also do some of the consulting and most of the sales/contracts. My sister is my office manager, and I am blessed in so many ways to have her. I was dating my now fiancé before I started my company, and we recently got engaged. Everything seemed to be perfect, except he keeps introducing me as a bookkeeper. No disrespect intended to them or the profession. My issue is that I have worked hard to get where I am. I am an accountant, graduate with a double major and successful business owner. He could pick almost any other title to introduce me as, but he chooses bookkeeper. I've asked him many times in private to stop calling me a bookkeeper, as it implies to my clients and business associates that he doesn't respect me or what I have accomplished. He said he doesn't see the big deal or the difference, and continues to do so. I recently pulled him aside and asked him to just introduce me as a consultant at the event we were going to. While there, we were talking to a prospective client for my company, and he says she has come a long way for a bookkeeper. I know my face had a full blush at that, so I excused myself and walked away. We had both driven there, so I got in my car and went home. We both own our own townhomes. I sent him a text to let him know I was leaving and would talk to him later. He thinks I'm overreacting. My family thinks he is a controlling jerk that doesn't respect me or women, so I'm not sure what to think now. He seemed so supportive when we are together, but not when we are around other people. He tends to treat me like a subordinate, a nice kid playing with the adults. He does talk down to me in front of my family, but I always assumed he was joking badly. So, am I the a-hole for leaving and overreacting? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. This man is freaking military. He understands what titles are and why they matter, and he's doing this on purpose. My family thinks he's a controlling jerk that doesn't respect me or women. If you love and respect the opinions of your family in other circumstances, and you trust them to have your best interest at heart, then you should always listen when they say things like this to you. In the end, you get to make your own choices. But when you have a loving family, the chances of them saying this without meaning it are really slim. The people who love us can see what we can't, and want what is best for us. Good point about the military. He should know better than anyone. He said he doesn't see the big deal or the difference and continues to do so. Because I'm snarky, if I were OP, I'd make a point to call him by a rank several ranks below his actual final rank and say I didn't see the big deal. Not the a-hole. He was never joking. He's just an a-hole that likes putting you down. I think he's just jealous of her success. I don't know if it's jealousy. He wants her money to support his unemployed butt. I am sure he has a nice pension, but let's be real. He is looking forward to spending her income. He just does not want anyone to know that she is his sugar mama, let alone her. He's really just an abusive, controlling jerk. OP, you worked hard to get where you are, which is an amazing place. Me too. And I do not allow anyone to treat me like this. I am happier single than with a toxic, controlling jerk looking for a sugar mama. She has come a long way for a bookkeeper. That is what's called a black-handed compliment. It sounds nice enough if you don't think about it, but its whole purpose is to knock you down a peg and make sure you don't believe in yourself more than you believe in him. You are definitely not the a-hole. You've attempted healthy communication multiple times, and he continues to refer to you in a way that's belittling and disrespectful of all you've accomplished. He can no longer play the clueless card because you've made it very clear how this is affecting you. I think your family's right. I want to add that you didn't even cause a scene. From the way you tell it, you just decided to quietly leave an environment where you were being belittled. That's called healthy boundaries and taking care of yourself. Him calling it overreacting is pretty gaslighty. Edit/updates. I had a conversation with him after a few days. He feels I'm lucky to have him and need to listen to his advice more and not overreact. The attitude, along with reading everyone's replies, made me call it off with him. I need someone who is proud of me and caring. My family responded by buying champagne. Lol. Update 2. I had another conversation with my ex-fiancé. He says that now that I had time to get my emotions under control, he was willing to let it go. I laughed and told him I'm fine, and so are my emotions. I told him about the post and that he should read the replies. Let's just say he was not happy. I did say no name were used, just me, I, and he. Here is the total shocking part. He wanted to know what I was going to give him for his help with my company. After the shock wore off, I handed him $1 and walked away. I told the family, and my brothers wanted to pay him a visit. I told him I handled it and gave him $1. We all laughed, went to the store and got more champagne. God, I love my family. He was doing it on purpose. If he really didn't think it was a big deal, he would have actually listened to her. He's not a prize, and I'm glad Opie knew that. He's deliberately trying to put her down to his hurt control. He's a crappy person. Control of her, and likely control of the business afterwards. Dude was already trying to put himself as the guy of the business while talking to a prospective client. It's obviously a prick move to do that to anyone, but it's downright bizarre to do it to your partner. Like, if anything, I'd want to exaggerate my partner's success, not diminish it. I'm proud of their success, and it makes me look good because I've landed a partner who's intelligent and accomplished. I laughed out loud when she said her family celebrated a breakup with champagne. I must have absolutely hated his guts. Oh, definitely. It's clear the family didn't like him. I can picture the group chat. Finally, she broke up with a military idiot. Someone get champagne on ice ASAP. My family reacted this way when I got divorced. My ex-husband discouraged me from going to school and career advancement, baffling why men thinks this makes sense. I read a comment once that the commenter had put off her education and moved away from her family for her fiancé. She was beginning to wonder if she had made a mistake. I tried to encourage her to finish her education because it's something no one can ever take away from you. She didn't answer, but I hope she took it to heart. Too many women out there are shackling themselves to men who want them to be a lesser version of themselves. Next story. Am I the a-hole for threatening to kick my brother-in-law out of my wedding? I, 27 female, got married to my husband, 29 male last weekend. We spent months planning it, and we were really excited because we had managed to rent our dream venue, find a perfect bakery for the cake, and gorgeous decoration. We went with a fairy tale aesthetic and most of our decorations was a dark green/wood toned. For the bridal party, we chose a few fairly affordable dresses that fit the theme, each about $100, and I asked each of my bridesmaids to buy one for themselves, but clarified that if any of them was struggling financially, I'd cover the cost of the dress. A few weeks ago, my husband's brother, 24 male, who is one of the groomsmen, asked me whether he could wear a dress to the wedding as well. I knew that he liked expressing himself through fashion, so I told him to go ahead and sent him the same selection of dresses my bridesmaids had been given. Apart from thanking me, I didn't hear back from him about the dress situation, so I just assumed that there were no problems. However, the day of the wedding, he showed up in a pink dress. Not a muted rosé, but a hot pink, walking highlighter risk. I asked him what the heck he was wearing, and he told me that I had given him permission to wear a dress. I had, but I was expecting him to pick from my pre-chosen selection, and I had very clearly communicated that. He just shrugged, saying he didn't like any of those dresses. At that point, I was nothing but stressed and trying to hold back angry tears. Even after my husband had tried talking to him, he insisted on wearing that dress. And I set an ultimatum for him to either go change as my husband had a spare suit at the venue or get out. He told me to calm down because Bridezilla didn't look good on me, and I just screamed at him to go freaking change, or I'd kick him out myself. He seemed surprised at my outburst, and with an annoyed huff, he went to get changed into my husband's suit. Apart from that incident, the evening was lovely, and except for the ceremony, my husband tried keeping his brother as far away from me as possible. I've had time to think about the situation, and I'm starting to think I might have overreacted a bit and shouldn't have been as rude. Both my husband and my bridesmaids think that I had every right to be angry, but my brother-in-law hasn't talked to any of us since the wedding, and my husband received some calls from his family about how he shouldn't have let me talk like that to his brother. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. If he's into fashion, he fully understands the concept of the wedding party wearing the same color scheme. This not the a-hole. It sounds like he was trying to grab attention for himself. That was my take. A guy in a dress was going to draw a lot of attention away from the bride, a major faux pas, but she allowed it, and he just went further. No, you're not the a-hole, and it's good to have your husband's support. That said, you probably should have been more proactive in approving the dress he wore. This is fairly common when brides allow leeway in picking dresses. I'm sure your instructions were clear, like you say, but this is where trust but verify kicks in. That's minor though. He's a jerk. Giving a list of pre-approved dresses and pre-approved colors is not too much leeway. It's just letting the bridal party choose the dress that fits their body type. None of the other people that chose from the pre-approved dresses had any problems with it. He knew what he was doing. Not a-hole. Your husband received some calls from his family about how he shouldn't have let you talk to his brother like that. That's speaking volumes to me. Anyone else? That line gave me the frickin' ick. I can't stand the idea that spouses should control each other that way. In this case, it's her husband who got the calls, but no one should be controlling anyone anyway. People should be ashamed of themselves for thinking they can or they should. Unbelievable how people still think they can just call someone's family and say things like you shouldn't have let the other person do something like this. Last story. Am I the a-hole for kidnapping my friend and leaving her husband with the kids? We're all 35 and my friend Jill and her husband Marv have 2 kids, 6 and 11. Jill works from home and Marv's work at a retail job down the road. Recently, Jill and I have been trying to hang out more, but it's usually at their place while the kids are there. I love her kids, but it means that when I am there, they're always hanging on to us and trying to get our attention, and we can't really have the full conversation we would like to. When I am there and Marv is there as well, he usually is posted on the couch with his phone doing whatever, while Jill and I talk and hang out with the kids. Finally, we decided to plan one day a month, where her and I can escape for a few hours so she can have truly adult time. Keep in mind that after his retail shifts, Marv will, at least twice a week, go hang out with his coworkers at their place, or out at a bar. Well, the first day of our scheduled escape comes up, and he is throwing a fit about it. He knew it was happening, and that it meant he would have to be watching the kids for 3 hours. But still, he is in meltdown over it. How is not fair that she can just abandon the kids with him? And what if an emergency happens? That she just wants to leave the house so she can get hit on and so on. He is saying that if we want to go anywhere, we have to take the kids. He even said, take them to Chuck E. Cheese. They'll be preoccupied and you can have your adult talk. Going to somewhere like that is a literal nightmare for me, as I do not have nor want kids. But it's also not doing Jill any favors, as the kids will need to be supervised anyway, and they'll be touring us around showing us everything they're doing. Very cute and I love it, but that's not the goal of the day. Anyway, I show up and we quickly get her into my car, and we go to the bar that is within view of their backyard. It was close enough for her to be able to get home in 45 seconds if there was an emergency, but we got to have our much-needed adult time. But now he's wigging out, saying I'm an a-hole, and that I am banned from being over there because I am trying to split up their marriage. Little does he know that her and I talked a lot about ways that they can grow in their relationship and get some happiness. Anyway, was I an a-hole for picking her up? With there being the insecurity issue in him, I do feel bad that he was experiencing that, and I am left wondering if it was the wrong thing to do. For some info, they have been married for 13 years. There has never been an instance of infidelity on either side, and if Jill were to flirt with someone while we were out, I would absolutely be angry with her and give her an earful. What do you mean I, as the father, have to take care of my own children? Totally not the a-hole. Parenting should be a partnership, and sometimes one parent needs a break. But it's a whole 3 hours per month. You can't seriously expect him to spend less than 0.5% of his life taking care of the kids all by himself, can you? What barbarity! Not the a-hole. I think these comments about her getting hit on are just an excuse, because he sounds pretty incompetent. If there's an emergency, he should be able to handle it. Or is he not a full-grown adult? He just doesn't want to be bothered. Men like that really angers me. Plus, if bars are only for hitting on people and he goes out twice a week to bars with his friends, just saying. This is one of the things we were talking about too. She's nervous that there is a reason he is getting so uppity about it. I agree that this is a big red flag. Guys that suspect infidelity of their wives often are the culprit themselves. I would definitely offer to help her in sussing out what he does on the nights that he's out with the boys. Check out the bar that he's at. Put a tracker on his car if need be. I think it's highly likely that he's the cheater. Edit. Thank you all for your input. I feel better knowing that I didn't further the issue in their relationship, and will be showing her these comments so far, so that she can see just how off-putting his behavior is. It tends to be hard when you've been married for so long to step back and see the behavior for what it is, when it's clouded by a lot of context.